Welcome to Eagle Discovery. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of the Mennonites, one of the most mysterious and isolated communities on the planet. With traditions that defy modern norms, from their unique courtship rituals to their surprising funeral customs, their way of life will leave you both curious and inspired. Join us as we unravel the secrets of this hidden community and explore how they've managed to preserve their way of life in a rapidly changing world. Ready to discover something truly unique? Let's get started. The origins of the Mennonites. To truly understand who the Mennonites are, we need to rewind back in time, specifically to 16th century Europe, a period buzzing with religious change and reform. During this time, the once dominant Catholic Church was being questioned by reformers like Martin Luther, who challenged its practices and opened doors to new interpretations of Christianity. Amidst this wave of change, a group led by Menno Simons, a former Dutch Catholic priest, decided to take things a step further than Luther's reforms. Influenced by the Anabaptists, who believed in adult baptism and keeping church and state separate, they sought a more authentic and simple way of living in line with their faith. The Mennonites, as they came to be called, rejected violence, social hierarchies, and the pursuit of luxury. Instead, they embraced a life of simplicity, community, and peace. Their beliefs, considered radical by both the Catholic Church and other Protestant groups, led to intense persecution, forcing them to move frequently. Despite all these challenges, the Mennonites stayed true to their values and principles, building strong faith-centered communities. Over the years, different groups formed with varying degrees of strictness. For example, the Amish, a more conservative branch, chose a lifestyle that resists modern technology, while other Mennonite groups have become more open to interacting with the modern world. Finding a new home in Pennsylvania? Their journey didn't stop there. By the 17th century, life in Europe had become increasingly hostile for Mennonites, and they faced ongoing persecution. But across the Atlantic, a new opportunity emerged. In 1683, William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania and a Quaker who valued religious freedom, welcomed them to his colony with open arms. With the promise of religious tolerance and fertile land, Mennonites took the brave step of crossing the ocean in search of a better future. Upon arriving in Pennsylvania, they finally found a place where they could practice their faith without fear and establish thriving communities. Lancaster County, in particular, became a hub for Mennonite life, with their simple yet productive farms becoming symbols of their faith and way of life. Even today, Pennsylvania remains a stronghold for Mennonite and Amish communities, where they continue to uphold their traditions while finding ways to adapt to the complexities of the modern world. Amish versus Mennonites. So, are the Amish and Mennonites the same? It's a common question, and it can be a bit tricky to tell them apart. After all, both groups come from the same 16th century Anabaptist movement and share core values like simplicity, community life, and a commitment to peace. However, the Amish are known for being more conservative. They typically reject modern conveniences like electricity, cars, and even some forms of technology that we take for granted. Their simple, traditional clothing and a lifestyle focused around family, community, and farming are key aspects of their culture. They intentionally avoid outside influences to preserve their way of life. Mennonites, on the other hand, are generally more open to adapting to modern life. While they still value simplicity, many Mennonites embrace technology and have integrated more fully into broader society. Their clothing tends to be less strict, and they often use cars, electricity, and other modern amenities. In short, think of the Amish and Mennonites as part of the same family, but with slightly different ways of living out their shared beliefs, each following their own path. Core beliefs. To truly understand the Mennonites' beliefs, we have to take a trip back to Zurich, Switzerland in the 16th century. That's where Menno Simons, a former Catholic priest and pacifist, laid down the principles that still guide Mennonite communities today. Simons believed that a true Christian life could only be lived by closely following the teachings of the Bible, rather than obeying the established church or political rulers of the time. One of his key teachings was adult baptism. Only those old enough to make a conscious, informed decision should be baptized. This belief, inspired by Simons and other Anabaptists, became central to the Mennonite faith. The Bible is their guidebook, and they strive to live out its teachings in every aspect of daily life. Pacifism is another cornerstone. They reject violence and refuse to participate in wars or conflicts. Simplicity is equally important. Mennonites avoid excessive luxury and focus on family, community, and honest work. Lastly, solidarity with others is crucial. They believe in helping those in need, whether through donations, volunteer efforts, or simply offering emotional support to those going through tough times. Mennonites and technology. How do Mennonites handle technology? If you're picturing a community completely cut off from the modern world, you might be surprised. While it's true that some traditional Mennonite groups avoid certain technologies like the internet and smartphones, this isn't the case for all Mennonites. For more conservative groups, the concern is that these technologies can pull people away from their core values: simplicity, community, and faith. But for many Mennonites, technology is seen as a useful tool, something that can be used thoughtfully and in moderation. In fact, computers, phones, and even cars are common in many Mennonite communities, as long as their use doesn't disrupt their way of life. At the end of the day, technology helps with communication, education, and work, which can all contribute to community growth. Each Mennonite group has the freedom to decide what fits within their lifestyle, always trying to find a balance between their traditions and the modern world's demands. Education and higher learning. One fact that often surprises people is that, unlike the Amish, who tend to avoid higher education, Mennonites place a high value on learning. They believe that faith and education go hand in hand, and many Mennonites attend universities and hold professional roles in various fields. Mennonite churches today often have their own schools, from elementary to high school, and even offer college-level education through their seminaries and universities. Public schools are also an option for modern Mennonites, but children from more conservative communities, like the Old Order, typically attend schools within their own community to uphold their traditions and values. A prime example of their commitment to education is Eastern Mennonite University, EMU, which was founded in 1917. The church wanted to create a unique educational environment that would blend academic knowledge with spiritual growth. Today, EMU is a well-known liberal arts college with graduate programs, a seminary, and competitive sports teams that participate on the national level. The importance of barns. Now, let's talk about something you might not expect: barns. You may be thinking, barns? What makes them so special? Well, in Mennonite communities, barns are much more than simple storage buildings. They are central to the community's life and culture. If you've ever seen pictures of Mennonite areas, you've likely noticed those large, sturdy barns. Beyond storing grains and farm tools, they play a major role in the social life of the community. From weddings to meetings, and even celebrations, barns are the gathering spaces for important moments. They're symbols of unity, where families and neighbors come together to share life's milestones. Building a barn is a communal event. It's a time when everyone pitches in. Men, women, and children work side by side, sharing meals and working together to raise the structure. It's not just about constructing a building. It's about strengthening relationships and passing on skills from one generation to the next. Mennonite barns are a testament to their craftsmanship, built using traditional methods and local materials, blending naturally into the landscape and built to last. Men and women in Mennonite communities. In Mennonite communities, roles between men and women tend to follow more traditional lines. Men typically handle the farming, woodworking, and carpentry, using their skills to build furniture and maintain the land. Women, on the other hand, manage the home and are experts in cooking, preserving food, and making beautiful quilts and baskets. In some of the more traditional groups, women also make the family's clothing, carefully sewing every piece by hand with dedication. The only items they usually buy are shoes and hats, which are often unique to their group and must be made in specific ways. Customs and traditions. Mennonite life flows at its own pace, grounded in faith and simplicity. From Monday to Saturday, hard work is the focus, with everyone waking up early to complete their tasks. But Sunday is a special day. It's reserved for rest, religious services, and quality time with family. It's a day to reconnect, not only with each other, but with the entire community. Their simplicity also extends to their clothing. In church, women wear long, modest dresses, and in everyday life, they often choose floral patterns, always keeping a sense of modesty. Married women typically wear black head coverings, while single women might wear white or none at all. As for the men, they prefer practical overalls and simple shirts that are comfortable for the day's work. Courtship and marriage. In Mennonite culture, baptism is a major life event, symbolizing one's official entry into the community and commitment to their faith. But courtship and relationships follow their own unique customs, too. Courtship for Mennonite girls typically begins at 15 or 16, and it's a special time marked by the giving of small gifts from suitors. However, this is far from the casual dating we're familiar with. Meetings between the couple are always supervised and occur on a set schedule, usually on Thursdays and Sundays from 8 to 10 p.m. at the girl's home. The relationship progresses until both feel ready to make a lifelong commitment through marriage. And if things don't work out, there's a tradition. The woman returns the gifts she received from her suitor. Marriage. When courtship blossoms into marriage in Mennonite communities, it's viewed as a lifelong bond. The proposal is formal, and tradition holds that the bride's father covers the wedding costs. In return, the groom often receives a dowry, which can include cows, household items, or even financial support to help the couple start their new life together. The wedding ceremony itself is simple, but deeply meaningful. The bride wears a black dress, considered elegant and formal, while the groom also dons black attire. Preparations start about a week before the ceremony, with friends and family gathering to help. The wedding itself typically takes place the following Sunday, after a week of community activities. Once married, gender roles are clearly defined. The husband is the head of the household and responsible for providing for the family, while the wife focuses on homemaking and raising children. The community plays a big role in supporting couples, reinforcing family bonds, and passing on traditions. Death and funerals. When a Mennonite community member passes away, the funeral traditions are quite unique. The body is laid out at home on a bed of wet sand, covered with a cloth, and surrounded by ice to preserve it. The wake lasts for 3 days, but only during daylight hours, as the family and community rest at night. Afterward, a simple mass is held, and the person is buried in white clothing, symbolizing purity and the hope of eternal life. True to Mennonite values of simplicity, graves are not marked with ornate crosses or headstones. Instead, a flat stone bearing the person's name and dates of birth and death is placed over the grave. Mennonites around the world. Today, Mennonite communities can be found in countries all over the world, each with its own unique cultural twists, but all rooted in the core values of faith, simplicity, and hospitality. Mennonite hospitality, in particular, is something special. Rather than staying in hotels, many Mennonites choose to stay in the homes of other community members when they travel. This strong tradition of welcoming fellow believers has become so ingrained that there's even a website called Mennonite Your Way Online. which connects traveling Mennonites with hosts offering accommodations. It's like an Airbnb just for Mennonites, fostering a sense of community and allowing people to exchange stories and experiences across borders. 6 degrees of separation. Here's something fun to think about. There's a game known as 6 degrees of Mennonite separation. The idea is that any Mennonite in the world can be connected to another through no more than 6 people. It's like the classic 6 degrees of separation, but with an even more personal twist, thanks to tight-knit family ties and connections within the Mennonite community. Here's how it works. You meet a Mennonite, start chatting, and soon surnames, relatives, or church connections come up. Before you know it, you've found a common link. Maybe it's a shared relative in another state or a family friend from a church gathering. It's incredible how these connections span across continents, creating a global web of relationships. Abuses within the community. As we wrap up our exploration of the Mennonite world, we have to address a tough but important topic: abuses that sadly also occur in these communities. Traditionally, Mennonite communities are patriarchal, with men holding authority over the household and women expected to be submissive. Unfortunately, this power imbalance can sometimes lead to situations of abuse, where any defiance of strict rules may be met with harsh consequences. Many victims feel isolated and unable to speak up, trapped in a cycle of fear. The culture of privacy and the pressure to handle problems internally often makes it even harder for victims to seek help or report abuse. Yet, ignoring this issue is not an option. Cases of physical, emotional, and sexual violence have emerged in different parts of the world. One of the most disturbing cases occurred in Bolivia in 2009, where 9 men from the Manitoba colony were accused of drugging and sexually abusing over 150 women. Unfortunately, this is not an isolated incident. Similar cases have surfaced in various places. It's a grim reminder that harmful behaviors can exist anywhere, even within communities that emphasize faith and simplicity. What did you think of this journey through the Mennonite world? It's clear that this community is full of unique customs and traditions that are unlike most of our everyday lives. Which fact surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel Eagle Discovery and share this video with your friends so they too can discover these fascinating details about the Mennonites. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next adventure.